Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Experience.
where we're getting started off with the road to Survivor Series, but the most important thing that we learned this week was R-Truth's middle name.
I feel like if we put our middle names combined, but then again, like it would just be one name. It would still be really short compared to our
Let me
truths.
just say that I do not have a middle name. Like, I can show you my birth certificate. It's not there. I
I
don't
don't
know
either.
why. Okay, so we have zero middle names combined, so we have no way to compete with R-Truth here.
Yeah, but we do have names. I'm Jazz.
Ooh, that's good. I'm Johnny, but no middle name.
That's it. And we're here to recap Monday Night Raw. So basically, I'm going to try something different. So instead of kind of like, saying what we felt about Monday Night Raw towards the end, I just wanted to go and say that I thought the show was fine, but there were so many questionable decisions throughout the whole show that just kind of, like my heart wasn't in it.
Interesting. I thought this episode was pretty solid when it was good and really bad when it wasn't. Uh, Basically, more segments were better than bad, but the bad ones were really bad and the good
Yeah.
ones were really good. So
That's exactly what I felt. But yeah, so let's open up the show with Drew McIntyre, and he's missing a piece of hardware, but he still looks like $1 million though.
that's
And
true.
he's there, and he's not gonna make any excuses, but he does have one promise, and that he's going to be WWE champion again. So I actually take his word for that, and I do believe that he does deserve to be champion, and I really want him to get that title back when there's going to be a crowd.
It's in
Uh,
my prayer every night before bed.
yeah, and he uses a quote from the movie Rocky where he says that it's not about how hard you hit, but it's actually about how hard you get hit and how you push forward. So, every time Drew gets knocked out, he comes back twice as strong. We've seen that before. When he got fired, he came back looking like a chiseled Greek god, and having a pretty impressive title reign from
Just
WrestleMania.
imagine if he got fired again, how like he will reach the peak of human potential if he gets fired again
Yeah.
and comes back stronger. That's crazy.
So the Miz and Morrison, they interrupt. The Miz is basically flaunting his Money in the Bank briefcase. He's basically teasing Drew, and Drew's not gonna have any of it. He just basically wants to drop them. But they're like, no. We really want to go over your accolades. Over the past year, it's almost as impressive as being a two-time Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And basically, John Morrison's like, listen, Drew, just take a joke. Like you don't have to worry about facing Randy Orton anymore. Because the Miz has this briefcase now, and this entitles him to a title match. But basically any title. It could be Universal, so it could be basically gunning for Roman Reigns, or it could be the WWE title. He could be gunning for Randy Orton, and he also mentions the fact that basically Randy Orton is going to be a guest at Moment of Bliss later on tonight, and the Miz could cash in then. So you never know. He's full of surprises, isn't he?
Yeah, and he mentions how the last time he had that briefcase, he cashed it in on then champion Randy Orton. Miz
Absolutely.
kept saying correct a lot to all the things they were saying, how he went out to celebrate with his future wife when he won it the first time, and he did it again when he won it the second time. Um, this kind of blows over because I guess Drew didn't like this whole patronizing stuff, so he starts with a headbutt to the Miz, takes him out. Morrison tries his best Scottish accent to try to get chummy with Drew, but doesn't work, and they both get laid out. And then Drew crushes Morrison's sunglasses, and he kind of mouths out that he has an idea that he wants to present to management for later tonight.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the segment ends. I also want to add that I feel like John Morrison is doing his best to look like Chris Jericho right now. I thought he was Chris Jericho without any facial hair and those sunglasses and the way he had his hair. I'm like, this is WWE's Chris Jericho right now.
He's definitely getting yeah, he's definitely getting there. So next segment, we do have our first match. We have Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles, and we find out that the winner basically will be representing Team Raw at Survivor Series. So again, yes, the road to Survivor Series has begun. But before AJ gets on the mic, and I don't take anything that he says seriously because he looks so short next to his next to his associate.
I know it's making it worse for him. He's looking less legitimate. I felt the same way this week and last week.
Yeah. But he basically talks about how he's 2-0 since he's been on Raw. He's dominating, and he should be the captain of Team Raw. And he basically puts down his opponent Jeff Hardy, saying that he's the biggest cheater ever. And if he does something fishy to him as he did to Elias, then my associate will deal with you. So, what do you think of the match? Because I thought it was pretty okay. I mean, I didn't think it was spectacular.
No, it was not bad, but it wasn't spectacular. Like, I mean, it wasn't even very long, and it was very, very played out, right? Because both guys get a chance to do their offense, and then eventually Jeff Hardy gets distracted when he's going to the top rope from the big guy who didn't really do anything, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And this allows AJ to kind of pick up the win. He takes advantage and is able to win and secure his place on Team Raw. And there's a little bit more after the match, right? There's Elias coming to attack Jeff with the guitar, so that's not over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, otherwise, okay match. Not the best one, but decent opener. What about you?
I mean, again, I didn't think it was spectacular. I thought it was a very short match, and obviously we expect more from Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles as we saw on SmackDown. But I saw what they were going with. Obviously, AJ was going to win this because Jeff Hardy is busy with the whole Elias thing. As we saw, it wasn't going to be over. But yeah, it was a decent opener. But we're going to jump to RTruth, who's backstage, and he basically talks about how he's going to scout tonight's tag match because because it's the usual suspects, right? It's always the same 24/7 people, and this is where he tells us his middle name, which is basically R. Franklin Dangerously something Truth.
Copper Part Truth is what I got. Copper Part, I think.
Yeah.
He's all about danger. Yeah. This was hilarious and some nice foreshadowing for the upcoming match because that we do get a tag team match, right? Was it even a match?
I know that you're so excited to basically talk about this match, so take it away.
So it's a tag team match. Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa are teaming up against the Lucha House Party. That's Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts out somewhat interesting. There's a little bit of cool stuff between Drew Gulak and Lince Dorado, but that's it. Because RTruth enters and he scouts like he said he was going to do, and everyone gets distracted and tries to win the title. Tozawa goes for it, doesn't work. Gran Metalik goes for it, doesn't work. Even Drew attempts, and he's the legal man. All of this leads to Lince picking up a win on Drew, who actually the only guy who's trying to win the match he's in. And then they all take a crack at RTruth, and then RTruth escapes before he can get pinned, and then they all chase after him. This was like maybe 4 minutes. Not the match itself was like a minute, and I don't even know if the bell rang. I don't remember anything, but
the bell rang. Officially, Lucha House Party won, but hey man, this was
true.
Really compelling stuff here.
I forgot my own recap. That's how compelling this match was. I forgot what I just said. But yeah, it was not very exciting. It was entertaining as a segment, but it was a pretty mediocre.
But something that was compelling was the next segment. We have the Firefly Funhouse, and it was...
They gotta stop. They have to stop doing this to the Rabbit.
No, but here's the thing. It was much darker than the past Firefly Funhouses, and I actually really, really enjoyed this one because I felt that the last few ones were a bit meh. But essentially, Bray Wyatt is looking like the Mad Hatter. And his special guest Alexa Bliss arrives, and she's super nice because she brought tea for everyone.
It's a mad tea party, he says.
Yep,
but
and
that tea is not that ain't no tea. Let me tell you.
No, exactly.
She's pouring something, and you can just see like this black sludge coming out of the teapot.
Yeah, essentially, because there's a secret ingredient, and it's arsenic. And Rambling Rabbit, unfortunately, he had already drank it. He starts puking his insides out, and he's dying. Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, they're laughing creepily, and basically he says that Alexa fits right in, which I think she does. And
absolutely,
he basically talks about this magical place where memories and nightmares, they walk hand in hand. This place heals you. And Alexa Bliss all of a sudden just kind of changes her demeanor when the Fiend is mentioned. She opens her eyes, and her eyes have changed as well. And she basically just says, let us in. She comes back to her senses, and she's all smiles, which, again, kudos to Alexa Bliss for this incredible acting. But she mentions she's going to be interviewing Randy Orton, and she's really excited about that. And this is a pretty great reminder of what Randy Orton did to Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt compound, because Bray is distraught, and there's a picture of the Wyatt compound on fire behind him. And Bray basically smacks Rambling Rabbit nonstop, and they creepily laugh once again.
Yeah, pretty solid Firefly Funhouse. You're right. I have been getting fed up of the last few ones, but this one was pretty nice. It was well written, and it was like alluding to a lot of things that could be unraveling as time goes on, and even what we're going to see later.
Absolutely.
But they got to stop killing the rabbit.
Yeah, poor rabbit. But hey, Keith Lee is backstage, and he's not happy, is he?
No, he's upset. He was pissed off about the thing with Braun Strowman. It wasn't questionable and he was very upset that Braun Strowman did what he did. And basically he says that he calls himself a monster, but Keith Lee's going to show him a real monster if they ever interact again. But he has to focus on tonight. He wants to walk with Elias because he wants to beat Elias and qualify for the Survivor Series Raw Tag Team. And so that's what's going to happen.
I have a lot of things to say about that match, but before we get to that match, we do see Adam Pearce backstage, and he's stopped by Shania. And
this is great.
Nia has a list of female wrestlers that she would like to be with in the Survivor Series match, but so does Shayna. So Shayna provides her own list, but the thing is that they're not even in each other's lists.
And they both want to be captains, but they're not actually officially the team captains yet. But Adam Pearce is nice. He takes the list. He's like, I'll take them into consideration, but that's not official yet. And I'm like, well, they have a bunch of lists, but again, and more nods to Chris Jericho. This is a Chris Jericho nod heavy episode. The list of Jericho is nowhere to be found here. Just the list of Shania. Well, but yeah, they were arguing about, are you on my list? Am I on your list? Like, what's going on? And then we move on. Pretty entertaining segment. I thought Nia was quite good this episode.
I am enjoying the Shania stuff, but something that I didn't enjoy is our next segment. Basically, Elias comes in, he plugs in his new album. It's supposedly number 1 on Apple Music or something like that by the end of the night.
And then it got to number 1 throughout the course of the evening. Yeah.
And so we hear the usual walk with Elias shtick, but Keith Lee thankfully puts that to a stop. You know what? I feel like Elias has plateaued, that's just my opinion. I feel like he's plateaued. Like, he's gonna keep going with this stuff, and it's not compelling to me anymore. But anyways, but what pissed me off even more was the way that they're handling Keith Lee. Keith Lee comes in and he's looking really pissed off. He's looking like he's ready to kick some ass.
Like
he goes for a spirit bomb. Elias reverses it with a Hurricane Rana. And honestly, maybe it's just me, but Keith Lee just looked so weak in this match. Elias kind of throws him into the post outside and then into the barricade. Keith is just struggling out there. He does make the usual face momentum push, but it wasn't a definitive win because Elias goes on the top rope and he hears Jeff Hardy's music, which distracts him, and Keith Lee nails him with a spirit bomb. So I personally didn't care for the match at all and how they're handling Keith Lee. Why is it that Keith Lee struggled so damn much against Elias? It's just weird.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit awkward the way to handle this. I think they did it awkwardly. But, I mean, what did you want them to do? Like, you have to have this competitive match to qualify for Survivor Series, but, like, they also have to, like...
But was it really competitive?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, Elias did some stuff. Like, it wasn't all Keith Lee, so you couldn't have Keith Lee dominate, right? Like you were expecting. And I guess they have to like lower his power level somewhat to make it more believable because, yeah, maybe he's not going to be booked as this monster like you expect.
Okay, fine. That I'll take that point, and I'll say that maybe you're right. But how many matches did Keith Lee win where it was a definitive win? Not many.
Oh, not many.
But that's the thing. Like, what are they doing? Like, it's not like he's brand new to the main roster. He's been doing this for over what, like a month and a half, 2 months, or maybe even a bit more. Nothing has been definitive with him.
It was because they shoehorned him into a main event program without really having anything to do with him. And now you have this expectation of him, and now he's just going to be a regular guy that's going up the ranks, kind of like Matt Riddle. You know, like Matt Riddle comes in, he's cool, but he's not like elevated to the moon, right? He's just there. And so like it's very awkward the way they did this, and this is one of the low points of Raw in my opinion, because sure, Keith Lee gets to be on this match and he's going to have an impressive performance just like he did last year in the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. There's no NXT this time from what what we've seen so far, and it looks like that's going to be for the whole thing because they even announced other stuff later. We're going to talk about that as well. Yeah. It was weird. We had to continue the feud with Jeff Hardy and Elias, and it was awkward because comparing it to AJ and Jeff looked kind of weak, and Elias looked kind of strong to elevate him so that they can look good in their match. AJ and Keith Lee still look good as they are the winners advancing to the pay-per-view match. So it was it could have probably been done better. Might have been better to have a different match, a different pairing.
Well, we're going to move on because there's still a lot of stuff to talk about. But post-match, it's now Jeff's turn to nail Elias with a guitar on his back. And, just poor guitars. So many broken guitars since then. But clearly, exactly.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to the next segment. It's a very small segment, but the Hurt Business, they're backstage. They're talking and they're bullying some guy that apparently used their bathroom. Okay. All right.
How many
Uh,
bathrooms are in the arena? The Thunderdome. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
then we see Randy Orton. He's walking backstage, but he's stopped by Charlie Caruso. She asks him if he's concerned tonight, but Randy isn't. He isn't worried about Alexa Bliss. He isn't worried about the Fiend, because the people that cross Randy Orton should be the ones that are concerned.
That
So
makes sense. Very solid promo from Randy Orton. He's
yeah,
looking good with the WWE title. I mean, I already missed Drew as the champion, but this is fine.
yeah. So this is I really really don't want to talk too much about this, but the next segment.
This is the lowest point I would
Yeah.
say in the entire episode.
So we have the 8-man elimination match between the Hurt Business and Retribution. But before MVP gets on the mic and he has a message for all of us, because the Hurt Business, they don't run. Retribution isn't a threat. They're more of a liability, and liabilities are bad for business. So as good businessmen, if you're good at something, you never do something for free. So once we wreck them, they're going to fulfill their end of the business arrangement, and that's it. And all I have to say about this match, listen, is that Retribution, they look like absolute chumps. Ali looks like a chicken. It's mind-boggling to me. But essentially, it starts off evenly. T-Bar fights off with Lashley, and he's in control for like 10 seconds until Lashley starts dominating. He hits a flatliner. They corner them up. But I don't even know what to say. Basically,
okay, here, I'll take over here.
Let
me summarize this.
Yeah, please, because I'm just baffled at what they're doing with Retribution.
What you said is true. MVP comes in, he starts getting beat up. It looks like Retribution is gonna take over. Keep in mind, this is an elimination match, so this is weird. So the Reckoning, right? Mia Yim is apparently something's touching. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, she's freaking out and she comes into the ring, like, and she's acting as though there's a bunch of ants, a million ants.
She's
on
like
her.
Convulsing or something. It's weird. Like, what is that?
Yes.
What is that? Anyways,
This distracts MVP. He gets eliminated right away. So we have that going on. Later, and come back from commercial. Turns out she was faking. Crazy, amazing stuff. But this is now the Hurt Business is now a man down. T-Bar and Lashley fight. They get double counted out because obviously that happens. And Slapjack got chumped out quickly earlier. I forgot to mention because nobody even cares. And then we have this 2-on-2 match that just it's just I don't even know. It ends up ending with basically Mustafa Ali is the last one standing in his team, and he takes out the chair and he gets himself disqualified by hitting Cedric Alexander. He tries to escape. The rest of the Hurt Business that were eliminated previously, so MVP and Lashley are at the stage now, and they're about to corner him. So he runs away like a little girl. It's really sad how the mighty have fallen here.
Yeah.
I hate to see Mustafa like this. And then that's pretty much it. The Hurt Business chase him away, and yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on because we have Angel Garza, being a flirt as he is. He offers the flower to Mandy Rose, asks her if she's still close to Otis. She's like, yes, we're actually still close. Otis has had a couple of rough weeks, losing his best friend and everything like that, losing the briefcase, but they're still together. And he moves on to Dana, but he's mesmerized by the beauty of Nia Jax. He offers her a rose, and then
that was incredible.
And then to Shayna, and Nia snatches it away from him, and she actually winks at him. And basically, all four women are bickering over the women's team, basically. Next up, we get Drew McIntyre versus The Miz. To me...
Hang on a second. I just want to talk about that segment because I thought it was really solid. I thought it was great how Angel Garza is basically a slut for everyone. And I like how Nia doesn't immediately take to his advances, but when he offers it to Shayna, she's like, okay, no, I want it, because once again, they just kind of hate each other but love each other. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back, we have actually a really solid match because Drew McIntyre's in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine. Like, the only notable thing that really happened was when, for me, John Morrison trying to attack Drew McIntyre with the Money in the Bank briefcase after, a couple of good back and forth from The Miz and Drew McIntyre. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Basically, he hits him with the belly to belly, just kind of... John Morrison just flies off, and then he takes the briefcase and he just throws it into the ramp as well. He launches that, and he just finishes off The Miz with a Claymore kick out of nowhere.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre looked incredibly strong here. Yeah, I mean, the match wasn't spectacular or anything, but it was solid. Mm-hmm. Everyone did what they were supposed to do. McIntyre was beaten down by Miz only because of Miz attacking the knee and the ribs that were injured from the night before. McIntyre still looks dominant. He's able to beat two guys at once practically. and he finishes off Miz with a beautiful Claymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he points at Matthew McConaughey who's in the Thunderdome.
All right. So we're gonna go to the New Day.
All right.
So the New Day, they're backstage and they're dressed up as the Street Profits because why not?
I thought it was the Street Profits at first. I was like, what?
Come on, man. That's kind of mildly racist. I'm just kidding.
Wow,
they hype.
They were so convincing.
I know. I was gonna say they did a great job as as the Street Profits. So they hype up Survivor Series, and they mentioned that they're actually taking on the Street Profits. Asuka shows up. She yells in Japanese, and she says that she wants to smoke. And then they announce Asuka versus Sasha Banks. And yes, we've seen this match during the whole pandemic era and everything like that. But it's going to be incredible, yeah. We also find out that Randy Orton is going to be facing the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. I think that's going to be great as well. I think Roman's definitely going to win that. The Hurt Business, they show up.
That's going to be an interesting match for sure.
The Hurt Business show up, and we're told that Lashley is going to bring the Hurt to Sami Zayn. And Asuka basically yells at them and says that New Day rocks.
So I just want to talk about this a little bit because once again, Sami Zayn gets snubbed. So they had a TV and they had a graphic for every single one of those matches except the Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley thing.
It's a conspiracy.
And I also loved, I don't know if it didn't happen here. It happened a bit later, I think, or maybe earlier, where they mentioned how Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn, I think it was during the match we saw against Retribution, where they're talking about how Bobby Lashley doesn't like Sami Zayn, and especially Bobby Lashley's sisters who don't like Sami Zayn, which was absolutely brilliant.
I was just about to mention the sisters. So
yeah, this was a great segment. I think it was very good.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on. We're reaching the 20-minute mark. But so basically, Drew McIntyre is watching back. He's walking backstage, and there's a mention of his victory being the first step to reclaiming his title. He's like first step, second step, third step, whatever. He mentions Randy Orton being on a moment of bliss later tonight, and Randy is definitely gonna have a moment, but not of bliss, but actually of pain. So it seems that Drew McIntyre is going to be interfering in that. But before we jump to that, because it was quite an interesting segment, Adam Pearce is now in the ring and he introduces the team of Shania. The first two members,
muscle friends too, don't forget them.
But that's it. So the first two members of Team Raw are Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, followed by Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. There's some bickering in the ring to know who the team captain is, but Adam's like, actually, the fifth member will be determined in a fatal four-way between Lana, Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, and Lacey Evans.
Nikki Cross with the new theme song, which was weird.
Doesn't fit her at all, but that's just my opinion. Trying to be positive in all of this. But Nikki Cross, speaking of her, she was all fired up. Like we're seeing a DDT from the steel steps outside onto Lacey Evans, a top rope crossbody on Peyton Royce. Lana fights back, but she kind of tumbles getting into the ring. Peyton, we get to see an impressive roundhouse kick from her on Lacey Evans. Like I think Peyton actually does that move like amazingly.
Yeah, this match really showcased Peyton's skills and Nikki Cross. They both got moments where they were firmly in control of the match, except neither of them ended up being the victor because of some sneaky Lana shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
Nikki Cross is on top of the turnbuckle. I think Lacey tries to do a superplex, doesn't work. Peyton goes, doesn't work, but then eventually they get it. So it was like a power bomb into a superplex. Everyone is down, and Lana sneaks in and pins Nikki Cross for the win here, which was amazing.
The ultimate opportunist. But the best thing is Lana is celebrating. She gets out of the ring and
says hi to her teammates.
Nia wants to hug her.
Yeah, I can't believe it. But she doesn't hug her. Well, she does, but she also tells Shayna to remove the table protector so she can drop Lana again for the sixth week in a row on a table in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
So poor Lana, but that was great.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So next up,
probably gonna do that at the pay-per-view too.
Yeah. Next up, it seems that Charlie Caruso really wants to bother Randy Orton because she knocks on his door.
I know.
And and she's asking if he's planning on showing up to a moment of bliss, and he's like, yes. She's like, but the Fiend might be coming, and he's like, I'm not afraid of the Fiend. And he's like,
okay, sure.
If the Fiend does want to show up, I can introduce him to the three most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, RKO. And that was the end of that.
There's a quick Matt Riddle comes to the ring because he's got a match, but then we have Retribution, who I don't even know why they're still getting airtime.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, they have a mission. They'll sacrifice everything to achieve that mission, and they will succeed when you suffer, and they will shut you down. So, yeah, it's over. I wouldn't be surprised if this disappears very quickly, and honestly, it should, because if this keeps going in the way that it's going, it's heading straight for a while. But yeah, Sheamus versus Matt Riddle. Oh my God,
this was great match! This was
how good was this?
Banger of the match. Yeah.
This was This was probably the best match of the night. I can't even explain it. It was very good. They hit each other very hard. There was a lot of cool stuff with the chain wrestling. Sheamus couldn't quite take advantage of Matt Riddle in that manner, so he has to go with more conventional means like strikes and whatnot. They go through a lot of stuff, and there's a beautiful Broton. Sheamus gets the knees up when Matt Riddle goes for a top rope maneuver, so that allows Sheamus to kind of take over the match, and that plays in big part in the finish because Matt Riddle is nursing the ribs and he's not able to get a slam on Sheamus. He kind of collapses. This lets him hit a brogue kick for the win. There was also some notable moments like a brogue kick that was dodged into a suplex, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, were there anything else that you liked in that match? Because it was so great, and Sheamus is going to advance to be a member of Team Raw.
Oh yeah, for sure. So the one moment that I really liked is, we got to see the vintage chest strikes from Sheamus, but Riddle actually impressively puts on the triangle on Sheamus from like using the ropes, and then when Sheamus kind of got out of the ring, Matt Riddle kind of he just basically like kept fighting back. Like he hit him with a really impressive looking moonsault. So again, it's just like it was very, very rapid, like very like Spitfire sort of wrestling. But we do get to see the MMA background on Riddle on full display, and Sheamus with his strikes. I thought that was a great marriage of styles.
Of the second Irish Curse, a backbreaker attempt from Sheamus gets countered into like a beautiful, like I think Matt Riddle gets behind him and is able to lock him in a sleeper, and that's like toward the end where Matt Riddle's trying to hold on for dear life and he can't, and he gets knocked out of it because of the rib injury, and eventually it leads to the finish. But yeah, they had a lot of good stuff going on. This was a great match.
Yeah, great stuff, man.
That Sheamus won too. I was not expecting that, but I think he deserved it.
I think so too.
He put on a great match with Big E. He had a great program with Jeff Hardy on SmackDown. He's always like at the top of his game. So it's nice to see.
So and now we're gonna go on to the main event segment. A moment of bliss.
Moment of bliss, right? And she has a new version of her theme song as well, Alexa Bliss. It's kind of the same, but it's kind of like fiendified, you could say. She's so bubbly and happy, and she welcomes Randy Orton, and he grabs a mic, and he doesn't sit down, and she's like, "Hey, you want to sit down?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good," because clearly there's something suspicious here, and she wants to basically talk about his monumental victory and his super duper performance, and Randy Orton's kind of like, okay, this is weird, but he's like, he's not surprised that he won. He's not surprised that he's a 14-time champion, but he's curious if Alexa has a surprise for him. And she says, no, she's just a good host, and who wouldn't want to host the champion? And then she says it was great how he and Drew burned the house down at the pay-per-view, which is clever writing because of what Randy Orton did. So Randy Orton knows what's up, and he's like, okay, so where's the Fiend? Alexa smiles, but this doesn't progress because Drew McIntyre comes down, and they just kind of start fighting. Alexa Bliss is sitting in the corner, smiling.
Such a good segment, yeah.
Drew beats down Orton in the corner and then tears apart the set, and he says sorry to Alexa Bliss, which I thought was a nice little touch. Of course, this doesn't go on for long because the lights shut down when Drew is setting up a Claymore. The lights turn back on. We hear the Fiend's music. The arena is red. Drew is alone in the ring, and Randy Orton's on the stage with the camera in a precarious position.
Of course.
We know the Fiend is obviously behind him, so now Orton's kind of like, what do I do? He goes to meet Drew, and they continue fighting while the Fiend is there. And they continue fighting back and forth with Drew having a slight advantage early on, but then Randy Orton drops him on the table, and then he gets on the table to start pummeling him, and that's when the show ends. So again, the show ends kind of in the middle of something.
Yeah.
But at least there's a lot of interesting ways that this could go down for Survivor Series and the WWE title picture in general. I'm happy to say that Drew is not totally out of the picture yet. I like the way they handled him post being defeated for the WWE title. That's how the show ends.
Yeah, no, I think
see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it is quite compelling stuff. I like the fact that Drew McIntyre is still in it, and he's not gonna be forgotten or something like that. So that's really nice to see. But yeah, but that was basically our recap from Monday Night Raw. It was again, like, it seemed like it was a jam-packed show, and it ended well, and it started really well. It's just like a lot of things happened in the middle that we just didn't really care for. Retribution looking like chumps is one of them. Shania was definitely a saving grace of the middle part of the show. But yeah, man, I don't know what it is, man. Yeah, Matt Riddle, Sheamus, exactly. Yeah, so it ended well, it started well, and the middle kind of went down for a little bit. And there were some saving graces here and there, but it definitely felt like a slog watching this. What'd you think?
Same things. I thought that the good stuff was really good, as I said at the beginning, and the bad stuff was really bad. Like Retribution, I don't know. Like I thought that Ali joining and being revealed as a leader would be like the coolest thing, and it's just not. And I don't have any faith anymore in it. Shania is amazing. Their segments are hilarious and well put together. The New Day mocking the Street Profits was a solid segment too. The whole setting up for Survivor Series. Hurt Business always looks amazing. Unfortunately, it's at the expense of Retribution, so that's not cool. Matt Riddle and Sheamus had a solid match, a slobber knocker. Drew McIntyre's narrative throughout the episode was amazing as well, and Randy Orton being a confident champion is good too. Everything was great in terms of that stuff. So
yeah, exactly. But listen, I'm looking forward to SmackDown. I'm looking forward to Survivor Series as well. It's always fun. It's just sad that NXT is not in it. But alas, what can you do?
From dominating last year to not even being in it this year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's it. That was our recap from Monday Night Raw. Make sure to subscribe. It's like gonna be somewhere over there. And when you do that, there's the like button that's right there. So click on that. And then right below it, you have the description. And you can find us wherever on social media. We're everywhere, man. We're basically like Titus worldwide.
That's a good comparison. I think my voice just cracked there. But yeah.
It did.
We should hire Titus to, expand our brand.
Hey, I mean, if the Hurt Business is not going to take Titus, the wrestling experience will.
That's
Titus,
right.
Call us.
We see the diamond in the rough. We just got to chisel it into a beautiful, sparkling chunk of rock.